All right, people, we are live. Episode 3, Mid Hero's Journey. About to get the title going on IG live. And then pin comment. So, let's just start the show off this week with a disclaimer. Man, to be honest with you, who am I? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know shit. I mean, I feel like I know some shit, but I don't know shit. Like, I just come on here and talk shit and just talk things out. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's funny because, um, you watch, like, I watch hot boxing, Mike Tyson, and people was talking about like the Boosie episode, and people like the little Boosie episode, and people ask Mike Tyson, they're like, oh, why do you do the podcast? Like, why do you like doing the podcast? Like, um, is it therapeutic for you? And he'd be like, nah, man, I just talk my shit and blah, blah, blah. But, hey, I really do think it is therapeutic. And if you actually do therapy, like, I've heard different theories and I'm sure different people have different methods. But a lot of the times, if you do therapy, I'm pretty sure the psychiatrist, the counselor, they're not really supposed to lean you any certain way. Like they're not really supposed to give you a bunch of feedback and tell you if you're right or wrong for how you're thinking or how you're feeling. They're supposed to just encourage you to get everything out. It was good, G's. And I think on Instagram, it was a former NBA player, Ben Gordon, and that nigga used to run with the Bulls, and that was my team on like what 2K was that? Maybe like I guess like 2K6, where it was like Kirk Heinrich, Ben Gordon, Luol Deng, like Joakim Noah, fucking was that Drew Gooden or Carlos Boozer? Nah, I think it was Drew Gooden because I think Boozer was on the Jazz at the time. But he was tweeting about how he feels like therapy is so crucial for people, and he was explaining exactly what I was explaining to people about my sessions is that, hey, what's up, baby? That you gotta talk your shit. Like you need somewhere to just get it all out, to just rant and just talk your shit and be you and say exactly what you're thinking. Um, without worrying about all the other things. I think one part about it that, besides it being the space for something like that, is like literally you're paying for somebody to listen. Like you're paying, or your health insurance is paying if you got that. You're paying for a motherfucker to just sit there and, fix their glasses every once in a while and hit you with a head nod and a mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like it's good. I feel like, everybody should try it out because I think ultimately what ends up happening is you end up talking yourself through situations and you end up realizing, um, you end up learning about yourself and you end up, kind of being able to fix your problems. Like, I didn't want to say you end up being able to fix your problems because that's like a pretty bold statement to just be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, if you sit down with a psychiatrist or a therapist or whatever, and you just let your mind go and you just say whatever comes to your mind, whatever problems, hopefully they'll facilitate the conversation and they'll help you to keep going and help you to keep from like losing track or getting sidetracked off a topic before you kind of come to um better understanding or getting it all out. But nah, I think that is good. I think everybody should try it. Um, yeah, and honestly, like speaking it out can kind of like I feel like that people use that phrase as a bad thing sometimes though. You know what I'm saying? Like I think, there's like there's there's a goodness to getting it out and yourself being able to hear it in real time. And I don't know if other people speak out loud to themselves. Like my homie Sam, he will be in the car and shit, and we'll be going somewhere, and this nigga will really be like talking to himself, and he'll laugh. And I always fuck with him because I'm like, that's weird. But, to be honest with you, I don't think it's weird necessarily in a negative way. It just be feeling weird because it's like, nigga, I'm right here. Like, you could have just said the shit to me or let me in on the joke. Like, I'm trying to laugh too. But, yeah, but what I was saying is like, speaking it out, makes it real. I feel like sometimes people will tell you like they'll use that in a sense of don't speak out negative things because it'll make that real. Um, and I definitely think that there's a truth to that. I think that if you do speak negatively and you don't like speak positivity into your situations and just your existence, then you'll be hard pressed to find it, and probably not even find it, but to see it, like for your mind to register it. Like I know y'all have seen on Instagram that shit where they take like two words, like it's like green ribbon and daydreamer or something, and there's like this audio clip that plays, and depending on which one you're reading is like which one you hear. I feel like that's kind of how shit works. Like if you're wording everything and your expression is going out negatively, then I definitely think that you will much more easily find negative things than like positive shit. Um, but I do think that it's dope that a lot of people are doing podcasts now, and obviously including me. And I think that it's a lot of shit. It's a lot of shit that goes on in different people's existences and thought process, and I think that podcasts are really the best way for people to explain themselves because it's long-winded. It's not like the ADHD friendly 15-second clip, of like you only get this one little bit. And that kind of ties in with what Hempsey was saying as far as like lies spreading faster than the truth is like people in media love taking these short clips and trying to make headlines and trying to make clickbait, just to get people to go to their site or bring traffic to a website or whatever. And it's like, these type of long-winded podcasts and interviews and shit like that, it really gives you a chance to like dive into people, characters, and situations, and even like a chance for people to explain themselves. Um, I thought that the Mike Tyson um, Boosie podcast episode was rough, honestly. Like I low key kind of Not that I necessarily felt bad for Boosie, but that nigga was getting grilled. Like, he was getting grilled. But, I mean, I think at the end of the day, like, I don't think that anything that Tyson said was like disrespectful. Like, I don't feel like he was disrespecting him. So I feel like Boosie hopefully walked away from that like feeling empowered that he even went through that situation, number one. And two, what he might have learned from what Tyson was saying. Tyson is one of those people that is very interesting to me, especially because a lot of times, like, so number one, he had an experience with DMT, and a lot of things like DMT and like mushrooms and shit like that can be very shocking to your entire existence, like the way you think about everything. Like if you have DMT or you have mushrooms or you have acid, like these type of drugs can literally change like your brain and like the way you think about shit. So I always feel like it's interesting to him talk and him talking about his past and what was ego and essentially negative forces that drove him versus how he operates now. And what's mostly interesting is that he's still boxing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember him being on Joe Rogan and being like, Joe Rogan was like, yeah, so like, do you still work out? And this was not long ago. This was like a year or 2 years ago. And Mike Tyson was like, nah, I can't work out because, I can only get on the treadmill a little bit because once I start, the ego gets going and then, then I think highly of and all this other shit. And I'm like, there's got to be a balance between what everybody considers like ego and a desire to have success and be great. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like so many things are easily, given the fucking what's the nigga from Harry Potter, the Voldemort thing of like, oh, that's ego and blah blah blah, or that's toxic, blah blah blah. And it's just like, I don't know, maybe just some shit is just supposed to be somewhat toxic. I mean, I'll put it in context. Like, if you look at nature, right? And I don't know if you guys heard of this Instagram, but there's an Instagram called Nature is Metal. And I follow that shit. And they just be murking people off. No, sorry, not people. Animals. Animals are like killing each other, wounding each other, or there's an animal injured just by something else other than the other animal, and they're just showing it. And that's the thing, is it's in nature. Like, a lot of the shit that happens to people, whether good or bad, is how the world works. And I don't want to say how the world works because it feels like I'm just fitting it right into whatever society makes it. But in nature, I just seen the other day a pack of lions killing an elephant, right? And it's like, oh, you feel bad for the elephant. The lions are cool, but at the same time they're savage. And then in the next video, it's a poacher killing lions. And it's like, we decide in these stories who the good person is, who the bad person is. But everybody gotta eat. You know what I'm saying? Like, and sometimes you or certain people are the person that fucking loses in situations. Like, and that sounds kind of fucked up, honestly, like it sounds like, damn, nigga, like you fucked up. Like niggas is supposed to lose. Like, but I'm not necessarily saying that niggas is supposed to lose all the time, but you can't be afraid or fearful of the L. I think that's what it really boils down to. It's like you have to maneuver and operate with people and I mean, kind of go off instinct. Like people will be like, "Oh, that's you're acting like a caveman, or you can't go off instinct. You need to think." And honestly, I really don't fuck with that shit. Like, and I be telling people like, I wish sometimes that I could just be without society and fuck around and just be in a hut, minding my business, growing my own food. I'm gonna need some pussy there, but and not be worried about nothing that nobody else is doing. You know what I'm saying? But that's not the system we're in, society we're in. You know what I'm saying? And everything is competitive, and it's not. Um, but it is. You know, at the end of the day. Um, oh, good looking, Kenneth. But yeah, man. Like, so Mike Tyson is now he's about to fight again, and this is after him, saying that was what was driving him was ego to fight and this and that. So I think I would be most curious to really understand, his opinion in the difference because there'd be sometimes like I could work really hard. I could have like a schedule, have all this devotion, doing this and that, and then sometimes life will just kind of smack you up real quick and be like, but are you happy though? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, also, you can feel shallow because you're like, well, what are you actually working for? Like, what are you doing all this for? You know what I'm saying? And I feel like whenever I looked at people like Pac, who's probably like my biggest inspiration when it comes to being an artist and like having reasons for what he does and how Tupac was so about the community and family and his mother and this and that. And it's like, and I told my family, I was like, damn, and it actually is kind of fucked up that I told my family this, but shit. I was like, I wish I had that same thing. Like, I wish there was like some reason for me that I was like, fuck that. Like, I'm getting whatever, I'm doing whatever I want, you know, for people or for some cause that was like, that, I could get behind and that people could get behind and root for me and be like, oh my God, like, we love him, da da da. Because, I just be doing shit because I'm like, if you don't, you're going to be a sad pup. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like you get put in situations in life and opportunities in life based on what you want, like what you're looking for. And if you don't follow through on those things, you're not going to be happy with yourself. And that's pretty self-centered, but that be the extent of all the shit that I do. Like, now I will do something or not do something for the sake of other people for sure. Like, it's not like I have blinders on and I only do for me, because I never want people bullied or pushed down or people to even feel defeated, even if I'm the one quote unquote winning in the situation. I don't like that shit. But in the times where I do kind of take the back seat, and or I kind of chill and don't go after this situation that gets put in front of me that I want to go a certain way, and I kind of let it go about how it goes about, that's when I'm not happy with the results. You know what I'm saying? So I think at the end of the day, if you want something, um, kind of no matter what it is, you gotta at least go for it. I think even if you go for it and it doesn't work out, you'll feel better that at least you went for it instead of just watching it, hoping it falls, at your doorstep, whatever. You gotta go and you gotta get the shit. You gotta go and get the shit. Um, but yeah, that's it for that spiel. Um, what else is going on? I mean, we could talk about Ye running for president. I saw that podcast. I liked it. I wasn't mad at it. It's funny because it's like there are such high expectations, at least on my end, for Ye. Um, like the interview was chill. You know what I'm saying? Everything he made sense. Everything he said made sense. I agree with his policies and his ideas as far as making things better. The only thing that kind of fucks with me, and it's funny because what I'm about to say offends some people, other people agree, and other people don't give a fuck. And I guess that kind of goes with everything anyway. I'm I'm off the like religious shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I grew up in the church. My whole family's Christian that I grew up with. And then my other side is like Catholic, but they be chilling. I don't want to call them white Catholic, but that's just how I see it. Like they Catholic when you ask them, but other than that, like you don't hear shit about no Bible, no Mary, no nothing. Um, but yeah, he was just talking a lot about he was talking a lot about God and saying that a lot of the reasons for the things that he's doing or wants to do, God called him and this and that. And, you know, I really do feel like I get it. Um, I think if I was, hey, what up, Daryl? If I was, let me give you all the backstory of kind of what I believe anyway. I believe that number one, I believe that religions obviously were all created by man. I don't think that there's any religion that something dropped out of the whatever heaven is in that religion and became itself in the physical form, and that's what people are studying. No, there's it's teachings, it's word of mouth. Maybe they do have some stories where shit fell from the sky, but the whole Quran, the whole whatever Hindu, I don't even know if they have a book, but none of these books dropped out the sky, right? They're all man-made. So with that alone, I'm like, how much do you really trust people? It's like I trust people, you know what I'm saying, but people can't even help but implement their own ideas on anything that they express or convey. It's literally impossible. We're not robots. It's impossible for a human to see something, hear something, taste something, and literally deliver it to you verbatim. It's going to be different. And something is up with my goddamn camera. Hold on, let me fucker. Man, this is the type of shit I fucking go through. It's always something. And at this point, this has happened every episode where the camera shuts off, so I'm like, I can't even really be that mad. But the thing is every time I do something different and I be swearing I fixed it. Like I be swearing like, oh yeah, I got this shit right. This shit ready to be lit the whole episode, and some shit fuck up. But like I was saying, religions. Yeah, I just feel like they're all kind of affected by the culture. And what I was ultimately going to say about Christianity and about people in general, you could call them prophets, that teach religions, I really don't even think it's their fault, especially if they're like not on no shady shit. Like if they're not, literally like, what do they call it? Like pimping the church or whoring the church or whatever and using it for their gain. It's like, if people are being 100% thorough, you can't even help but, if you have an experience, and more like Eastern religions kind of believe more in this idea of like, if you have an experience where you feel the connectiveness of the universe, and you kind of have like a bliss or euphoria or kind of like a eureka moment, a lot of times these prophets, the way they know how to explain or relay these situations is through things they already know. So that kind of goes along with the idea of Christianity and Jesus's teachings. Is like, the nigga was raised Jewish, so it's like his understanding was of a certain way of how we came to exist and who God is and this and that. And so when he went off and had his, I guess you could say, spiritual awakening, and he came back as the prophet that we know as Jesus, he taught based off what he knew, which was the Bible. And that's why the nigga was using parables and stories about farmers and shit, because that's what he knew, and that's how he knew he could convey his message to people, was through that way. So when when Ye is on the thing, on the podcast, and he's talking about God this and God that, and it's like, I to me personally, like, I'm extra, so what? I would prefer the nigga would just say universe or my spirit. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I feel like as soon as you really dive into a religion to the point where, he's on there talking about the devil and angels and this and that, you start to limit yourself to a denomination or a specific religion, instead of a complete unity of like, no, this is what we are, based off our existence, based off nature, based off the earth. So at the end of the day, I was happy that he has ideas that are corrective for our society and for technologies. So that was a good thing. And it's like, at the end of the day, unfortunately, we don't know what the fuck is going on with presidents. If you're the president, if you're not the president, what I want to know is, when a president first like wins the election, there's like one Secret Service person who like carries some type of book that has like all this information, that once the president is sworn in, he basically isolates himself and reads this information or this book, or maybe they have a DVD by now of this shit. But it's just like, why, like, y'all hiding shit, bruh? Like, it's shit out there that we don't know, that niggas ain't telling us. And Off that alone, I'm like, it's some shady shit. It's some shady shit going on. It's the same shit when your parents fucking duck off in a room and they don't tell you what's going on. It's like, this affects my life too. Probably more than y'all's because I'm young and I'm goddamn, what's the word? Molding. I'm molding right now. So whatever is going on in this house and this family in y'all's lives is greatly gonna affect me. So yeah, I feel like until the president is a real ass nigga, like myself, um, we ain't never gonna know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? We ain't never gonna know. And without knowing, it's like, how could you even really trust? How could you trust that? Like, who's to say they know what's best? They're doing what's best for you, and they're not even sharing the information. So, had a bunch of camera difficulties. This was episode 3. I'm gonna figure this shit out and see what's going on. Why I can't. What happens is my camera keeps dying. I have it plugged into the charger. It wants to turn into USB storage mode and like it's plugged into a computer, but it's plugged into the wall. So that's why I guess why I keep shutting off. But I'll figure this shit out. Thanks for checking out. I'll see you niggas and people that aren't niggas, but you my niggas. So you niggas too.